Hi, Aries. Welcome to your February 2018 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, Aries, what is happening in February for you? Well, let's just review that very powerful supermoon, blue moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in Leo, 11 degrees of Leo. And for you, this is your fifth house of romance. Whoa, wow. How could this affect you? Well, I don't know. Because this is a general reading and everyone is going to have different situations going on in their particular life. But let's talk about what the fifth house represents. It represents falling in love. It represents conceiving a child, children in general. Creativity, which is, children are associated with a form of creativity. Having a child is creating something. And also your own business. Now, typically with lunar eclipses, since they are full moons, we talk about things leaving. But there's also the possibility of a culmination. So kind of like, what do they call that thing where it's that apex, that peak experience? This could be that for you. So an example would be you have a friendship with someone and you guys talk and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you realize that this is not only a person that you could imagine yourself with romantically, but they're like your soulmate. And it's just like this crescendo. I think that's the word I was looking for. But it just like heightens your awareness to such a degree that you can no longer ignore it. You may find out something about someone you are dating, and it may be like, whoa, just like that, the spotlight of reality shining in your eyes. If you're an artist, this could be an incredibly fertile time because full moons are already associated with fertility, abundance, things being very creative in dreams, being very strong, very psychic, a lot of psychic activity. And that goes along with inspiration as well. So that's just a few of the things that could be happening. So that's coming in from the last day of January. Now, the timing of how that could affect you may not be exactly on that date. So we can look at February as kind of the aftermath and even the months after that in terms of how this eclipse may affect you. But all month long, Mars is going to be in Sagittarius, which is nice because Sag is a fellow fire sign. And so it forms a trine, friendly angle, and it means that it makes things happen much more readily because there's no challenge to the energy. So we're talking about the ninth house here. The ninth house is the house of the higher mind. It's your philosophical framework in life. Just think of all things Sag, because that's the house that rules Sagittarius, and you have Mars in there. So Sag is very comfortable in the ninth house, and you're ruled by Mars. So there's that significance as well. However, in the ninth house, Mars may act as a zealot. So somebody who has this mission of wanting to get the word out about something. I think about the poet Shelley, who actually was a Leo. And so not an Aries like you, but another fire sign. And who would always pass out these pamphlets that were about, I think, like vegetarianism and probably some radical political philosophy. I think even like free love, just like things that were very provocative during his time. And, I wish I could remember what his heyday was, because I know that his wife Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, and I believe it just was the 200th anniversary. So it was 1818 when she wrote it. So I associate him with the late 1700s, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And I should be more up on it. I used to be like very into poetry, including going to poetry slams and writing a lot of poetry and all that stuff. But anyway, so you may be on some kind of a soapbox, or you may be traveling, because the ninth house is the house of foreign travel. And, you know, this can be like if you go on one of these trips where you are just like let's say to Europe, and you're just going from country to country, and you don't even care what your itinerary is. You just want to roam around. That's the vibe that I get for Aries in February, is that you're roaming around. And maybe it's within your own country itself, but you just feel this restlessness. And it could be mental, even though Mars I associate with physicality, but that sense of like wanting to just expand yourself in some way. It can also be, university level of instruction, or you could be the teacher or the student, but there's that activity or that ambition. Maybe you've been like trying to graduate college. You're an adult. You went back as an adult, and it just seems like it's dragging on, and you're just going to take like 6 classes just to try to finish it off. So there's a lot of activity in that ninth house. Then on the 10th, Venus goes into Pisces. That's your 12th house. You could see karmic love relationships crop up. You are going to have several planets in this 12th house during February, because Pisces goes there on the 17th, and then the sun goes there on the 18th. So there's a concentration of energy in the 12th house, the hidden house, the house of karma, of past lives. So this is also the resting place. So before your solar return, it's very, it's not, I was going to say it's very common. It's a done deal that every year the sun is going to go into this house around the same time, and some of these personal planets as well. By the way, I just had to look up about Percy Shelley, and he actually died in 1822, July 8th, 1822. And one of the quotes that they have on Wikipedia is, "O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far, far behind?" And I think a lot of people right now are thinking those thoughts. Maybe not in Australia, though, so you guys are lucky. So just to kind of say something briefly about Venus in the 12th house, look out for people that you meet that could be that where you feel this strange pull towards them. Now, it's possible that you will meet somebody in a group of friends, and then it turns into this situation where you realize you've known this person in past lives. And the reason I say this is because before the Venus goes into that 12th house on the 10th, it's going to be in your it's going to be in your 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of friendships and groups, as well as hopes and wishes. So it's considered the luckiest house. And so it's very nice that you have some hits to this house, because you never know what's going to happen. There's actually going to be a solar eclipse in this sector on the 15th of February at 27 degrees of Aquarius. So are all of those things connected? Well, I would say that if you met somebody through friendships, it would probably be earlier before the eclipse. But the fact that you have this very powerful new moon in the 11th house Could mean that something that you've wanted for a long time, Aries, comes to pass. As you have planets enter the 12th house, it would be really great if you could reflect upon some of the events that have been taking place and to frame them in a more spiritual way. And the reason I say this is because you may notice faded events, especially with a romantic relationship. And you have to decide for yourself, if this does come to pass, Aries, whether or not this is a good fated thing or not. Because I do get a lot of people who ask me in personal readings if the person that they're with, they think they're a twin flame, or they think they're a soulmate, or, a karmic relationship, just in general. The word karma means action. This is one of the reasons why we say good karma and bad karma, because karma in and of itself does not imply anything positive or negative. Action just means that as we live in this three-dimensional world, we're constantly generating karma, which is just cause and effect. Everything we do has a reverberation. So if you meet someone and you have a negative experience, you can break up, but there could still be this sort of, connection, bond, what have you, that keeps the two of you linked up even when you don't want to be, on the conscious level. That's what they call an energetic cord. And I'm not going to get too much into that, but just to see anyone that you meet at this time, does this person seem like they're adding to your life or not? Because the idea of twin flames is intriguing, but I feel that it can become very, I don't know if you want to call it distracting to what it is that you're trying to accomplish, because you may assume that the person who is right for you is the one bringing you all this pain. And that's, to me, something that you don't want to entertain as a belief. That, to me, does not make any sense. But anyway, so you're going to end the month with some of this 12th house energy carrying you into March, where you will have a new moon on March 17th, and this will be in that 12th house. And you may be like a lot more contemplative towards the end of the month. But with Mars in that 9th house, there's a lot of overtly aggressive beliefs or actions being taken that have to do with something also could be spiritual, more of an organized type of religion, whereas the 12th house is just kind of consciousness. So maybe you're becoming a yoga teacher and you're doing physical things that connect with religion. I don't know. And let me see. I think that's about it. Aries. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, please click on the link below. My natal chart interpretation is probably the closest thing to this type of reading in terms of looking at some of your transits that are happening in important areas in the coming year, but also your personality analysis and stuff like that. That's always cool. But anyway, good luck to you in February. Take care. Bye.